Tonight, WEBN is lighting it up blue. Blue is the official color of hope for millions of Americans changed by autism. Good evening. I'm Carlo Falco.
And I'm Christina Winsky. You're watching WEBN Blue. Tonight, you'll be meeting three bright individuals on the autism spectrum, all different ages with a unique story to tell.
Plus, legislative action is casting a safety net for the autism community in the Bay State.
And iPad therapy, how autistic children are communicating with Apple's coolest toy. Autism diagnoses are on the rise. The Center for Disease Control is estimating around 1 in 110 American children are on the autism spectrum. Dr. Rula Shwayri specializes in autism spectrum disorders at Tufts Medical Center. She says parents are concerned when their child's development starts slowing down or if there's a language delay. She diagnoses children after a very detailed developmental and behavioral history. Dr. Shwayri assesses a child's nonverbal communication, comprehension, word count, and repetitive behaviors. She explains diagnosing children with the ADOS, which is the Autism Diagnostic Observation Schedule.
For a 2-year-old or a child who is nonverbal, we tend to administer the ADOS-1, where we look at pointing, we look at facial expressions, we look at eye contact, are they looking at the same time? We look at joint attention, which is really key in younger kids. It's by just looking at them and pointing, or you are responsive when someone tries to get your attention as well. So this is joint attention. We look also at their pretend play, at how they engage with us, and how is their social smile, how do they make a choice, let's say. You give them two things, are they able to make a choice? Do they point? Do they come and reach to take it? Do they point and look at you? Do they say a word without making gestures? So we look at all of these. And so forth. So this is the ADOS-1. The ADOS-2, it's a child who has some language. So we start to look more at the conversation, at how they would describe a picture or a book, and look more at the social content. ADOS-3, we're looking more at their understanding of relationships and friendships and their feelings. Are they able to express? And what does it mean, for a child if they're sad or happy, or what makes them sad or happy? And then ADOS-4 is more for an adult and adolescent. So it goes more into the work situation, the living situation.
These diagnoses could dip if changes are made to autism's definition. The American Psychiatric Association is reviewing the definition of autism. Changes would narrow the criteria for autism. Also, Asperger's and other high-functioning conditions will be deleted from the Manual of Mental Disorders. That means high-functioning individuals could be excluded from social, educational, and health services. Right now, a person is autistic if he meets at least 6 of 12 atypical behaviors. The proposed definition would limit that criteria to at least 3 social deficits plus 2 repetitive behaviors.
Early red flags can signal autism with children as young as 1. The CDC is in charge of a campaign to help parents learn more about this developmental disorder. It's called Learn the Signs, Act Early. Some signs include no babbling, no pointing, and the loss of original skills. The CDC suggests meeting with a physician if these skills are missing. Elaine Gabovich is an Act Early ambassador and the mother of an autistic son. She says early intervention is important because the young brain is more responsive to change.
The minute that you bring in help for a family is when things change. Now parents are no longer confused and worried about what's wrong with my child. They can do something to influence that development and to create a better outcome for the entire family. So early intervention not only benefits the young child in the long-term development that the child has, but it also affects the comfort and the ability for a family to help themselves.
Aggressive therapy is just as important as early detection. Applied behavioral analysis, or ABA therapy, is a traditional and scientific method of teaching children on the spectrum. WEBN Blue's Leeza Yeretzian observed an ABA session in Dorchester. She's live with more. Leeza?
Thanks, Chrissy. ABA therapy is combining firm instructions with fun rewards. Therapists work with autistic children to break down tasks into smaller parts and reduce unwanted behaviors. Allow me to introduce to you our youngest of the night, Catherine Sansone.
And then what else do you get from Staples? Paper.
Catherine Sansone's favorite store is Staples.
What?
Make St. Patrick's Day! I'm so excited!
And her favorite holiday is St. Patrick's Day.
I know, you're so excited for that.
Catherine was diagnosed with autism after her first birthday.
I need help.
Ever since then, she's been in ABA therapy.
What did he do?
Catherine started speaking when she was 4 years old. Now she is reading and writing with all her favorite office supplies.
She consciously tries to, give the right answer or, make sure she's doing it right. And she'll keep trying until she can do it right. So that's, one great thing about Catherine. Catherine is a friendly girl in Dorchester, but her therapists say she needs to know the social limits of her surroundings.
This community is really great because everybody knows her. But, you go anywhere else and that's not the case and it can be really dangerous. So, stranger awareness is something that she's going to have to definitely get a handle on. And the rest of it is just as she comes into contact with situations, we're going to put, really systematic things in place to help her. Catherine is in ABA therapy for 25 hours a week, but she never takes a time out. Catherine's parents are always reinforcing ABA therapy because they want the best for their daughter.
She progresses and be able to live, an independent life on her own. Hopefully, be able to take care of herself. Maybe, someday, be able to go to school, finish high school, be able to go to college, be able to cross the street, without assistance.
Yellow. All right.
ABA therapy basically helps achieve almost any childhood benchmark. It has a proven track record. Positive reinforcement and the reward system help children learn. I found out that Catherine was potty trained in 36 hours. Stephanie rewarded her with a pink princess dress. For WEBN Blue, I'm Leeza Yeretzian, sending it back to you at the desk.
Thanks, Leeza. That's amazing progress. When we return to WEBN Blue, autism research on its face, and we get to visit the FACE lab in Waltham's Eunice Kennedy Shriver Center.
Plus, how the Bay State is setting the gold standard for autism. WEBN Blue is back and visiting the labs. Autism is like a big puzzle. That's why its official logo is the puzzle piece. Researchers are working to put it all together. WEBN Blue's April Baker is live with 2 studies from the Eunice Kennedy Shriver Center. April?
Thanks, Christina. Autistic children are getting ready for their close-ups. It's a study called Express Yourself, and Dr. Ruth Grossman is recording facial movements using infrared motion capture technology.
Grossman's team places motion stickers on the participants, and 6 cameras captured their reactions to images on a computer screen. The movements are mapped and analyzed so researchers can understand the body language of autistic children in social situations. A second study at the Shriver Center will be focusing on autistic children's physical activity at community YMCAs. Dr. Richard Fleming explains setting up one coach with 2 adolescents.
We'll use picture stories, picture-supported materials, and we'll use graduated guidance and other really appropriate prompts that we use in FADE to teach those skills in a more systematic way. So you're just not thrown into the fray. You're actually guided to the point where you can participate so that you could lift weights, you could walk on treadmills, you could use exercise bikes and ellipticals, and go into a busy YMCA and do that with confidence.
Dr. Fleming is hoping to get this research funded. He says a study like this will help reduce anxiety, foster independence, and build an autistic child's social skills within the community. Live in the control room, I'm April Baker, WEBN Blue. Back to you at the desk.
Thanks, April. Researchers are also touching on autism. Sometimes autistic children do not like hugs or sudden contact. That's motivated a Yale University neuroscience team to study these social rejections. Not one participant was on the spectrum, but those with autistic tendencies didn't respond well to a soft brush on the forearm. Researchers discovered the neural region that processes social touch is linked to social ability.
New legislation is making life easier for those in the autism spectrum. State Representative Tom Sanacondro sponsored a human rights bill for students with disabilities. Governor Deval Patrick recently signed it into law. The representative says these students will be provided with better transitional services to live independent lives.
We have students that are now well educated, able to move on. We need people that actually professionals, teachers and counselors who have professional training on how do you transition these students from the school to the workplace or to living independently or living as independently as they can. So the the need for the transition endorsement is because we have a whole generation of students that have very high abilities compared to where they used to be.
Former State Representative Barbara L'Italian is still spearheading landmark legislation for autism. Right now, L'Italian and members of an autism commission are looking at the totality of the spectrum to propel services in Massachusetts. L'Italian's proudest moment happened 2 years ago when Governor Deval Patrick signed autism medical insurance into law. The bill ensured coverage for all ages on both ends of the spectrum. About 500 people, including families and advocacy organizations, celebrated the success at Fenway Park.
We felt like there was an imbalance in the equation of how folks get support if they have children with autism. The education system certainly pays in, provides education. The Health and Human Services provides some assistance. But the medical piece was not being covered. So parents were having to, in some instances, second mortgage their homes to be able to pay for the critical services their kids needed. It became a system of haves and have-nots.
When WEBN Blue returns, a former journalist turns into a professional organizer, all thanks to her autistic son.
Plus, a young advocate with the pipes to fill Fenway.
Օրակրոջս տղան կրգերը, ես ուսումը ստեցել, երկու հատնալ կրգերը գտանի։ Ես ուսին վրա գտիտեմ ասպես 4 կողմս, ես ուրախ եմ, չեմ գիտեր թե ինչ կլա։ Ես 4 կողմս գտիտեմ, տեսա որ դուները հրտե հարեր են։
Reverend Barkev Orchanyan was just 4 years old when he fled his home.
Ես վերջը լսեցի որ անոնք մեր դուներն են եղել, որ գայրեն։ Ես դուներն անել են վերջը, մասնա որ գայրեն որովհետեւ թուրքերուն քալելու բահվդելով բادرազմելու դեր չլա.
The Reverend wants younger generations to carry his memories. He lives to tell the story that destroyed his childhood.
Իսկ ես մանկության ինչ լալը չեմ գիտեր. Ինչպես կլա մանկությունը չեմ գիտեր.
Reverend Orchanyan was born in 1914 in Marash, a city in the former Ottoman Empire. In the early 1900s, a new liberation movement in Turkey gained leverage. Archpriest Antranik Baljan says under Turkish occupation, the Armenians sought autonomy.
They decided that the way to solve the Armenian question was to get rid of the Armenians. On April 24th, 1915, the Armenians of Constantinople were rounded up, and as I said, these were mostly people from the upper classes that lived there anyway, people that were in government, doctors, lawyers, businessmen, professionals. They were all rounded up. Many of them, or most of them, and even religious leaders, were summarily executed. In the towns and cities where Armenians lived, they were forcibly put out of their homes. They were marched to the Syrian desert, but there were no amenities. They walked. They were set upon by brigands on the way. The women were raped. The children were killed.
The mass deportations and killings are all well documented, but only a little over 20 countries recognize the Armenian genocide.
It's still being denied. And denial is evidently the last stage of genocide.
Ամբողջ ժողովուրդը ջամփուն վրա անոթի գմերն էին։ Ինչպես կրնանք ասոնք մորդալ։ Մենք ջերմակ չարթի ենթարկվեցանք, մենք զարգացանք, մենք մեծանք, մենք նոր հայություն եղանք, ոք չէ, բայց այդ 1 միլիոնեն ավելին գործվեցավ։
Something very real to us, I believe. I believe.
Հրաշքով մենք կաբրինք, մնացյալներս բոլոր հրաշքով կաբրինք, ասյոստագ է։
It's been 96 years. On April 24th, Armenians worldwide will commemorate those who perished and those who survived. In Watertown, I'm Leeza Yeretzian.